What's up, guys? So Konami have released a pack with Cantona, Owen and Radzicki. So today we're going to give the best builds, what skills to put on them, and how to get the best out of the cards with the new booster crafting upgrade items. So first player we're going to look at is Eric Cantona. This guy first released about a year ago in January as a surprise card, and he was actually a very nice surprise. I think he is a very nice player in the game, and I've used him on a different account and he was quite decent. So he's a deep line forward. If we take a look at his build, this is the first build I'd recommend. You can see here that pretty much every stat, if we take off the boosts, is 85 or above that you'd want to be. The only one that's close really is aggression. I'm sure most people don't care about having that high to 85. I don't think it's actually a terrible idea to do that. We'll get into that in a moment. But pretty much every stat's 85 or above, except we have physical contact at 78. So when we get the boost, the +2, that'll go to 80. So that's the build I'd recommend for the first one. If you want to put the booster on, the best boosters, alright, so the boosters are going to work in a way that you want to look at the stats that you've invested the most in over here, and then take a booster in one of those stats. So if we look at shooting, for example, we've got 10 points in shooting. If we take off 1 point, we free up 3 points back, and then you'd want to put the point into shooting back on to kind of get to where you were before. The problem with shooting, if we decide that's where we're going to take our point off, is it goes below 85, and then you miss the +3 from the manager boost. So you see 86. Put +1 point on, it goes to 88 because you're getting a +3 instead of a +2 when the stats are above 85. So for Cantona, you pretty much have to take off the point from the lower body strength. You can see nothing goes below 85 there, so that was what you would do. And then you would probably just take off the the point that you took away from lower body strength, put it back in on the booster side, and then you have the point elsewhere to go back. So you can go into the shooting, get it to 89, and then you can even go up to 92 with the boost. I wouldn't recommend that though. I always recommend either go 90 or 95 finishing. But there is a lower body, or sorry, a tight possession there that we could try get to 95. Or you could even go physical contact, put that +1 to 80, and then you have these 4 points left over. So for the 4 points left over, if you want, you can put them into defending and you can get the aggression really high. So aggression is actually good on forward players because aggression is basically how quickly they second man press and just kind of how active their AI defending is. So if you want to defend from the front, I'd recommend putting the aggression high on Cantona. There's another player that's similar is Rumi. Rumi has high aggression, he presses from the front. Griezmann, the same. I like players when they have forwards and they have aggression. I think it's a very valuable and very underrated skill. Now for the 95 finishing build, so usually I recommend a 90 finishing build and strikers and 95 finishing. It's literally just 90 finishing will be really good. It's just if you want that very extra consistency, you go for 95. I wouldn't recommend putting 95 finishing on for base though. I'd only recommend you go for it if you're going to put a booster on to get it to 95. So I'd assume that's the shooting there. Shooting will get us 95. Just because it's 14 points to get the shooting to 94. 15 points is going to be too expensive. So that's what I would do for Cantona in terms of the builds and how you're going to correlate with the booster craft and upgrades. So if we look at Cantona's skills, I think he has a very nice selection. He starts off with double touch, so that'll be handy in beating the player. He also has high weak foot only, so I think the outside curler isn't a terrible addition onto him. And importantly, he has momentum dribbling, which is very interesting. Most of the time, or most of the players with momentum dribbling are very fast. So you're thinking Ronaldinho, Kvaradona, Vinicius Jr., they're fast. I think maybe there's been a player in the J League packs, but I never really look at them. That's been slow and has momentum dribbling, but this is the first off the top of my head. Now I might be wrong, please correct me if I am wrong. Was the first slow player that has momentum dribbling, and yeah, first slow player momentum dribbling. So momentum dribbling just boosts all dribbling stats in the final third. I still think it'll be effective. You kind of know is sometimes if you just left stick dribble in the box with momentum dribbling, you'll just get through. The defenders won't be able to tackle you. So he has good dribbling stats as well, so that will be extra effective. So for the skills I'd recommend, I'd put acrobatic finishing on first. That's just, he needs that kind of to complete him being a striker. And then long range curler can help too, especially because he's a deep line forward. He'll drop a little bit deeper, so he might be going from further range. He already has long range shooting, so you don't need to cover that part. Next, I would consider soul control and flip flap for the level 3 double touch. If you're someone who doesn't really need to use that though, I'll give other skill recommendations. So if you don't want to go for soul control and flip flap, I'd recommend fighting spirit and gamesmanship. The problem with gamesmanship is the penalties don't really get given with gamesmanship. They used to back in the day, but the fouls usually only get called outside the box. But then again, he is a deep line forward, so he might be a bit deeper and get the fouls called, especially on the edge of the box. And then cut behind and turn might not be a bad idea either. Just turn and shoot quickly. And then also I know I'm going over 5 skills, but I would consider Scissors Feint just because he's tall, and I feel like tall players are better at Scissors Feint. They're longer legs, you can do it from further away from the defender and exit and still get by the defender. So I think overall a very good card. Although when we compare it to the previous version of Cantona that it released, they're very, very similar. I did, like, at first I didn't see actually what the upgrade was. The upgrade is seemingly just passing. The sizable enough upgrade. And also we do have 5 finishing here, but this other version, like, it's the same dribbling. So yeah, I guess it's a boost to passing and a bit of finishing, but this one has higher balance. I mean, basically the same physical contact. It's an upgrade, but it's not a major upgrade. So if you have this old Cantona, I probably wouldn't think this new one's means you should upgrade. Momentum dribbling might change that. If you're a Man United fan, particularly who watched and grew up watching Man United when Cantona, you know, joined, maybe, you know, favorite player of all time, probably is worth just getting the best version of the cards, one of your favorite players. But I think overall for most people, is the upgrades jumping out to me being major? Not really. I don't think I don't think it's massive. So, oh, actually, no, another thing, the passing upgrade. I do think passing is important for a deep line forward, but I do think the passing traits are more important rather than the passing stats. So he has all the passing traits by default, so I don't think the passing upgrade is going to be as major as it might look at first glance. So the next player is Tomas Rosicky. So I think this guy isn't anything special. I don't think people are too excited about this guy, but if we look at his build, his card isn't actually terrible. So this is what it looks like with the booster applied by default and the manager boost. So he has all 90s on the dribbling. The low pass is as high as you need it. The finishing is quite a bit lower though, and then the speeds, acceleration, kicking power, and balance are all, like, you know, they're not S tier, not out of this world elite, but they're right below that level, so very well rounded in that regard. If we take off all the boosters though, you can see that the balance is actually 84, so we're going to try to get that balance to 85. The problem with trying to do this is though, if we take off the points that we've invested in the most, lower body strength, you can see it's already 85, so we can't go below that, or else we're just kind of going around in circles. Dexterity is what we're trying to increase, so you'd want to take off either shooting, pass, and dribbling. Another problem, all these have an 85 stat. Dribbling on 85, low passing's 85, and shoot or curl on 85. So realistically, for me, I think dribbling would be the least important. Not the overall ability of dribbling, but the individual skill, the individual stat. This is just how fast you run with the ball. I don't think you're going to be going on these crazy runs with Rosicky. He's more of a kind of technical playmaker. So he's not going to be carrying the ball as much. So if you take off those points in dribbling, you get 2, but you don't get enough for the dexterity. So you're going to have to take another sacrifice somewhere else. So you can go passing and then put it into dexterity, and then you get the balance. I mean, look, I think 88 low pass is the highest you need to go. Talk about that in my How to Train Midfielders video. It's basically true passing skill gives a 20% boost to the passing stat. So 88 is usually enough to, or should be enough to cover that. So I'd go for the passing. And then anyway, if you put a passing booster on like that, you can do the same thing. And if you take off all the boosts again for a second, you could even take the shooting off, put the passing on, and you still have 85 curl for a threshold. And then like that, and then you have 89 pass. You have to choose between 87 and 89. 89 pass is basically a redundant stat. So those those builds are very, very similar at the end once we've got the dexterity on. So I honestly don't think it matters what you're going to do. I don't think you'll notice any meaningful difference in game, really, to be honest. And then for the skills, I would go with Flip Flop as the first one because he has double touch and soul control. Then I'd go for long range shooting just because he's an attacking midfielder. It'll add another element to his game. Then after that, I'm kind of stuck. I think he already has like pretty much all the skills you'd want. So I went for Heel Trick, Marseille Turn, and Scissors Feint. I think if you didn't go for one of them, it would be Heel Trick. So Heel Trick can be replaced. I was thinking Fighting Spirit, but he's a super sub, so you're probably going to take him off the bench, so he doesn't really need the Fighting Spirit as much. Fighting Spirit doesn't just help with stamina, but I think it is a big part of it. So stamina won't be a problem off the bench. The Fighting Spirit kind of helps you when you're kind of crowded by the opposition. So it could still be useful, but I think you're missing a little bit of it just because he should be coming off the bench for you. So yeah, I've been thinking it for a little bit there. Sorry, I just cut away. I think Fighting Spirit or Gamesmanship for the last one. Probably Gamesmanship because what I said about earlier with Cantona. He's an attack midfielder. Gamesmanship does work, just not really in the box, but he shouldn't be in the box too much as the attacking midfielder. And the last player is Michael Owen. So I think this guy is actually very interesting. Before he came out, I thought it would be a great card just because of the Man United version that it is, but Konami seems to don't care that it's an old kind of washed version of Michael Owen. When I show you the build in a moment, you'll see that it seems to still be kind of prime Michael Owen in Konami's eyes. So here is the build. I think he looks like a very, very good card. I went for 95 finishing just because I have a different version of Michael Owen, Liverpool version, that I used him for the longest time. He's never really that great for me, and then the only time I could have him be really good was with 95 finishing, which is surprising because the type of player he is, I would usually expect, okay, don't worry about the 95 finishing, just go for 90 and give him dribbling. But I think because of the lack of double touch or something, I didn't really feel like he was a great dribbler like a Saviola or someone like that, kind of more nimble. So I went for 95 finishing on that build. I'm going to recommend that on this one too. So look, a very good build. You can see that we've got a lot of 85s, but I think the booster crafting here can make this card insanely good. So if we actually have a look at the what I recommend, so I recommend a +1 shooting on Michael Owen, and the reason is if you take off 1 shooting after putting the booster on, you still have 95. I think that's as good as you need it. And then after that, you can take off 1 point in dexterity and then put it into lower body strength, and you get 90 kick on power. Actually, you don't even need to take the point off dexterity. You can keep dexterity. I probably wouldn't though. If you want to take off the extra point in dexterity, you can take it off, and then put it into dribbling like so. Although actually there is a reason to keep the dexterity as high as you had it, just because you'll get to 95 offensive awareness. That's a threshold in theory, 95. But yeah, this guy with the boost, once you put that booster item on, looks very good. So I think this is one of them players that you shouldn't put the random one on. I think you should definitely try to keep it, because you get that 95 finishing with 90 kick and power. That there's not many strikers in the game better than that. Off the top of my head, the only player I know for sure that has better stats than that is the 2015 Messi. I think even my Van Nistelrooy would be similar enough, 95 finishing, about 90 kick and power. Yeah, look, very good card. I think this guy, especially when you look at his skills, the biggest problem with Michael Owen has been he usually only starts with those 6 skills, but Konami have seemed to give him this one the whole 10, and the skills they give him aren't too bad either. So what I'd recommend to put on him is double touch, true passing, and then you have a choice depending on if you do the double touch or not. If it's a big part of your game, go for soul control and flip flap, or one touch pass and long range shooting. And then the last skill, it's a bit of a weird one, but I think aerial superiority, just because he starts off with decent jumping, he has the heading stat. Yeah, it is a super sub. I just can anticipate him winning some headers. If you don't want to put it on, I understand that last skill. If you don't want to put aerial superiority on, just put it on cut behind and turn or Marseille turn or something else. Although I think you should, when you're building your players, kind of make them as jammy as possible. I think if you put aerial superiority, you'll get some jam with Michael Owen. But look, if you want to play a bit safer, go for the cut behind a turn or Marseille turn. And if we compare it to the other version of Michael Owen, so this is the more recent booster one, pretty similar cards. This one might look better because of the speed and acceleration, but look at the kick and power. It's only 80 versus 90 on the new one. I think I would very happily trade that extra speed and acceleration for the kick and power boost. So I think this card's actually an upgrade. Additionally, you do get more skills on this newer one. This one only has about those 6 or 7 there. So I think this new Michael Owen, while it is a little bit slower, I think it's overall an upgrade. So I think Konami have done it. I was going to say a good job with this Michael Owen, but look, this Manchester United Michael Owen, that's not the type of player he was. He wasn't very good. So it's a bit weird that they've done that. But overall, a decent enough pack. I'm surprised it's not a Manchester United pack. I feel like if they replaced Thomas Rosicky with Berbatov, you'd have a lot more Manchester United fans for sure spinning for it. Because there's Rosicky in there, I think as a Man United fan, it doesn't really, appeal to Man United fans. So I think if you have like the previous version of Cantona, it's not a major upgrade. Michael Owen, like Man United fans probably don't even care about Michael Owen that much as a legend. Like, so I mean, I guess it's the get one over Liverpool a little bit. He's a bit of a cult hero in that sense, but then Thomas Rosicky, no appeal to a Manchester United fan. So an overall okay pack, but I just don't think it's worth spending your coins on. I don't think Cantona will be bad. I just think most people don't really like the deep line forward. I think Michael Owen will be very good though. So look, it's your money. You do what you want with it. I'm gonna not spin the pack though. I'm gonna keep my coins.